Hello and welcome back to Fallen Tree 124. Today I've got an exciting project making an apple grinder that goes with the fruit press that I made in the last segment. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link in the description, let you see it. But this is the apple grinder I'm going to make. It cost me a total of $5 and a little bit of time. So the first thing I did was I worked on the grinding shaft itself. Now, me personally, I'm turning it on a lathe, but I'm sure we'd all be creative. Maybe get an old rolling pin from a yard sale or something to make this. The one I'm making 6 inches long and 4 inches in diameter. And then I'm finishing it off here with a little walnut oil finish to finish it up nicely. The next step is to create the holes in which both ends will sit in when it turns. Now this is going to be all made of wood for the most part, and it's going to spin freely in there with a drill. So after that, it's time to put the teeth on the grinder. So I'm carefully laying out where I want them to go. I'm making marks about every half inch down it and then every inch around. From there, I'm going to connect them diagonally with a straight line. Then using my center punch, I'm going to start marking them, and I'm going to put them in every other half inch line. And I'm going to stagger them each row. Now for this, I'm just using some 1-inch stainless steel screws, and I'm leaving the heads out about 1/8 of an inch. So next, it's time to make the body of the grinder. Next, it will require me to put a hole in the base of the grinder. The length of the grinder, 6 inches, and I'm going to go 4 3/8 wide. So the grinding wheel fits down in it. And we'll allow 3/16 on either side once I get it centered up, so the grindings can fall down into the bucket down below. So after centering the grinding wheel above the base, it's time to make the chute. The chute's going to be detachable, so it's going to slide over the grinding wheel. 2 sides being straight, the first piece is going to go 90 degrees to the base, and then I angled the next piece, so it will create a chute. And this I'm going to glue together, and then I'm going to nail it with a micro pinner. Now that I got the sides glued and pinned together in the shape that I want them, I'm going to take a brad nailer, throw a couple nails in just to hold it, and I'm actually going to screw that together to give it a little more strength. I'm going to split the 2-inch hole that we drilled earlier so I can take it apart for cleaning. It's also important to add some lubricant. So I'm using a step bit here to put a hole in the top of each one, which will be used for putting vegetable oil in to lubricate the shaft. Then we'll carefully put it back together with some screws and some nylon washers for spacers to give it a little bit of play to turn after using the saw and cutting out that material. Now this was my original thought, was I'd hook up a drill to the end of the shaft and have it all wood. That didn't quite work out the way I would have hoped. So I drilled a hole through the middle of it, used a piece of all thread with some nuts and washers for the shaft. So here it is in action. I'm going to have apple cider before you know it. And this is what the apples look like after running them through the grinder. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, click like, subscribe, share with your friends. And I hope to see you again. Till next time, my friends.